We're gonna start right on time because we've got a lot to do and we've got people timed pretty closely here. So welcome. We thought it would be a really good chance to give you an update on what's all going on with the Plant Sciences Initiative. There's lots of different pieces and parts to this, and many people are familiar with various parts of it, but not that many have had the opportunity to actually see how the whole thing is coming together. So that's what today is about. This is Plant Sciences. Where's the? I forgot the pointer. Sorry. As you may recall, this came about as part of the Plant Sciences Big Moves, as part of President Daniels' initiative to move Purdue to new places and make sure we're on the cutting edge. He chose two research areas, drug discovery and plant sciences. So we're really lucky to receive this great investment. We started here. This was our logo and our first attempt, and this was a greater than $20 million investment in the plant sciences, and these were the themes we had. We then moved to the new logo, which you see now recently, to bring us up to date and kind of a more modern look on what we're doing. The topics are really the same as they were before, so it's not that we changed what we're doing. We just tried to move that forward in general. One of the nice parts about this, we continue to leverage partners, and part of this is it's not just about the plant sciences, it's really about the college and using all the resources around the university as well as public and private partners. Sorry about that. Wanted to go through a little bit of the metrics. These are just a few of the metrics that President Daniels expects from us. I won't spend a lot of time on this because I really want you to hear from the individual areas and what's moving forward. You see the number of undergraduates, and you'll talk a little bit about Massey and pre-college Massey. The Green Machine is a zip trip that we did. We've gotten a number of new grants. This isn't that accurate because it doesn't necessarily cover everything we're doing. We have gotten some gifts. We were expected to, and we have about $5.5 million of gifts. That has really helped us realize some of the goals of this. We have a few new startups, and we've hired some new faculty. You're going to hear from these different areas as we move forward. These are the various people that are going to talk. The other person I want to bring up is Mitch Daniels, who's our scientific director and has done much in many of these areas to help us move forward. We're keeping people to a tight timeline today so that you can hear a little bit about all the different parts of the initiative. So each person is going to have 10 minutes, and then we have questions at the end. And I want to save a half hour at the end for questions. In those 10 minutes, Renee is going to ring a bell at the end of the 10 minutes to remind people that their time is up so that we can move forward with it. I'm going to this time just mention who's all going to talk. We're going to have Clint Chappell first talk about the faculty hires in the center. We then have Amy Jones out of OAP talking about the Molecular Ag Summer Institute and the undergraduate initiatives. April Carroll, the director of Phenolics, will talk about the controlled environment phenotyping. Julie Hickman will then talk about the field phenotyping, and then we have Daryl Starr and Kay Hunter. I hope they're here. Let me see them in. They're not here yet. There's Daryl.
Kay is coming.
And Kay's on her way. We'll be talking at the end. We'll then have a half hour for questions and answers, so you give the questions, we'll try to answer. So if you want to hold your questions till then, write them down or whatever. I wanted to give some time at the end, and that is why we're holding people this quick time. With that, I introduced all the people, so the way you're going to tell who's next on the talk is by their name being there, and I'll move it right to Clint.
You mentioned somebody standing up.
Yeah, and the person standing up.
Is this for
That's,
slides too?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well,
And we are recording.
And that's what this is for?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Fair.
The idea is we will put it up on the web for those who couldn't make it. There is a sheet of paper. We just wanted to get your name and email address. Now I'll be quiet.
No. 10 minutes. All right. I've got some slides this morning with an inordinate amount of text, more than I would usually use, but I think it's appropriate to show you some of our thinking and our thought processes that we went through for this search, which I am very pleased with. I have to say, I think we've been very successful. So, first thing I wanted to start with is a short segment out of the ad. Because I did want to make sure that everybody realized we passed as broad a net as possible, and in fact, I think we were quite successful. We had over 350 applications, and so hats off to the members of the search committee who went through all of those. A few of them aren't here this morning. Really appreciate all that work. So I think that what I want to point out on this is that we outlined what we were looking for as people who are using modern methods to address important questions in plant biology, including but not limited to genomics and all this laundry list here. We also went on to talk about what sort of systems we were interested in people working in. And so we looked at molecular, organismal, and ecosystem levels, and model systems, crops, or natural systems. And we got applications from all of those areas. So we were really pleased with the kind of applications that we got. So again, I think this is a search about building basic plant biology. And I think that this ad was an appropriate way to start. Where did we advertise? We advertised everywhere. I don't even want to see the bill for actually how much this costs. The most expensive one was in Science, of course, at the bottom. That was a full-page ad. But we asked departments for where they'd like to see this ad posted, and we followed up on all of those, and so you can see that went out to a lot of people. I actually tend to think that we got most of our ads, believe it or most of our applications through social media, people tweeting our ad, and it went around the world within 24 hours, and I think we got a lot of attention that way. I've been to many, many meetings where people had said, how did you get this much money? How did you get all these faculty positions? And people were very kind of jealous about that. So I think it's great that we've gotten this visibility across the plant science community. Okay, so what was our process? Just a few notes here. Again, our primary focus was on basic science, and that was for the two departments, botany and biochemistry. There were another 4 participating departments, 4 people who, applicants who outlined some more applied or additional applied components to their research. So that was entomology, forestry, horticulture, and agronomy. We had a core search committee of these individuals here, as well as departmental search committees who we involved once we had done, if you don't mind me saying, a triage process on the initial group of applications. So as I said, we had over 350, 180 pretty much just didn't make the grade. And so we looked at that remaining 170 or so and did WebEx interviews for 20% of the remaining pool. And I would actually call that doing due diligence here, trying to get as many qualified individuals, not just the ones that rose right to the top, but the ones we thought were a little bit further down and we wanted to have a little bit more information about them. We certainly made deliberate efforts to assure diversity in the pool. We didn't have as much as we would like in terms of gender or racial diversity, but we were also interested in scientific diversity. So let's make sure that we're getting people who are doing research in a number of different fields. So we had 21 people on campus for interviews. Some of you may have received 1 or 2 emails from me over the course of the semester. So I don't think you will have missed out on that. And then, of course, there were lots of opportunity for everyone to both attend the seminars, attend the Chalk Talks, and provide feedback through Qualtrics. So where we are right now is we made 6 offers. We had 1 decline for family reasons, 4 accepts, 1 offer is pending, and 1 candidate is on hold. In order to try and consider everyone fairly, we actually came up with a rubric for evaluation of candidates. And I don't want to go through all of this, but, excuse me. Thank you. No, I think more. You need to move the.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we came up with a rubric. As I said, this is about basic science. So the research focuses on basic science, and since although it's not required, any applied component of research is a logical extension of their basic research program. So we were certainly open to candidates doing both basic and applied research. The research description is well written. They write in a manner that suggests they'd be funded. They exhibit attention to detail. They've got a consistent first author publication history, and we're not really too interested in manuscripts that were in preparation. That they indicate a genuine commitment to teaching, and that the letters are strong. So, what did we end up with? So I'll just briefly introduce them for those of you who didn't get a chance to go to some of the seminars or just can't remember all after 21 interviews. John Couture is joining the Department of Forestry, Entomology with a joint appointment in forestry. He works on hyperspectral imaging. Sharon Kessler is coming to us. She is an assistant professor at the University of Oklahoma. And so she's joining the Department of Botany and Plant Pathology and bringing an NSF grant with her. Suji Puthayavitel is joining the Department of Biochemistry. He works on photosynthesis. Yoon Zhao is joining the Department of Botany and Plant Pathology. He's a postdoc with Elliot Meyerowitz at Caltech. And then Chris Oakley is our pending author, and he is a senior research associate at Michigan State University. He also has an NSF grant that he would be bringing with us, and I think that we will get that contract signed by the end of the week. So that will be 5. Add to that Chunhua Zhang was hired last year. That will be 6. So we will have filled 6 of our total of 10 positions. And there's still a possibility we may make one more offer yet, but space is getting to be a thing. How'd I do?
Okay, next 2 minutes to go.
2 minutes to go.
Oh boy, this is like a fun.
Well, good morning. The Office of Academic Programs is very excited to be a part of this initiative and give you an update on the education side of the house. We do have a program that was written into this proposal. That's the Molecular Ag Summer Institute. So I'm going to give you an update on that and then a few of the other things that are happening within academics. So there are 2 Molecular Ag Summer Institutes. I will call them MASSI from here on out. The first one is a pre-college program, and the other one is an undergraduate program. The pre-college program is a 1-week program for high school students, current sophomores and juniors, and the undergraduate program is a research internship for current Purdue agriculture students. So the pre-college Molecular Ag Summer Institute is 1 week on-campus program where students have a chance to work with a research mentor. We're very excited this year to have 6 research mentors coming and helping us with the pre-college students. And they really spend about 15 to 20 hours with those faculty members doing experiments, writing them up, and then presenting them at the end of the week. It also includes tours with industry partners, as well as tours of Purdue labs and research facilities. The other portion that's a really big part of it is really network and relationship building. So we want them to have a chance to come on campus and get to know a faculty member, be comfortable around campus, and it's been a really great opportunity. So last year we had 13 students, 4 were seniors, and 100% of them applied to Purdue, 75% related to agricultural majors. So we're very excited about that program. The undergraduate program, this will be its 3rd year, and it's a 10-week research internship. And it's, again, working with a faculty research mentor. They're to work about 40 hours a week with that mentor on various projects. It also includes tours of industry in Purdue. But what's unique about this is we work with Dr. Mark Tucker in the Department of Youth Development and Agricultural Education to do communication workshops. So not only communicating their science to other scientists, but also communicating it to general consumers and even their parents, if they choose to talk to their parents. And we've gone from 7 to 9, and we're hoping to have 10 this year. We're getting ready to send all those letters out to make sure they're coming into the program. A couple other initiatives, aside from the Molecular Ag Summer Institutes that we have that are related to the Plant Sciences Initiative, would be learning communities. So the Women in Ag Business and Plant Sciences Learning Community actually started a little bit before the initiative, but we added the Plant Sciences in once the initiative was started. And just new in its second year now this fall is the Ag Technology and Innovation Learning Community. I myself co-instruct that with Dr. Dennis Buckmaster in the Ag and Biological Engineering Department. And it's really just an introduction to all technologies and innovations within agriculture. We start with rubber tires, so it's a little bit of a history class as well. But it incorporates the initiative because we really push the students to become their own innovators, to consider doing the certificate of entrepreneurship within the campus, and just really think about how they can be a part of solving those global challenges. Some of the other undergraduate research programs, I'm sure most of you have heard of these, but SURF and PACE. So SURF is the Summer Undergraduate Research Fellowship that's actually ran through engineering, and PACE is the Purdue Agriculture Center's experience, and so we're partnering with them this summer to help them and include them into the communication workshops as well. Obviously, teaching facility improvements are a great thing for our undergraduate students, and so they're utilizing those. It's a really neat facility. If you haven't checked out the teaching labs, they're really neat. One's in Lilly and one's in biochemistry. So finally, I want to do a little plug, a little commercial, that faculty, we are happy to get faculty engaged in this initiative because a part of what I do personally is recruitment and outreach for the plant sciences. So that's kind of how I get placed on this team, which I'm excited to be a part of. And we're really excited about those faculty hires that Clint mentioned with the center and hoping that we can get them involved. We have quite a few new hires that have gotten involved already in our research outreach and engagement. So we're very excited to include them. We are continuing with the PK-12 Council to include workshops and looking at ways we can incorporate your grant, broader impact opportunities with the initiative. And of course, one of the major motivations for us is increasing that undergraduate plant science enrollment. So I just included the chart of where applications and admits have been for the last few years. We are very excited that it seems to be going on the upswing and looking forward to the future. So very good. Wow.
That's all right. That's fine.
Lovely move.
So I think I'm going to take all of the extra time that Clint and Amy have put up. I'll try not to. So I'm April Carroll. I am the phenomics person here in the College of Agriculture. And I wanted to talk today about just the controlled environments portion of our phenomics program. So I think a lot of you have probably seen this slide already, but I'd like to highlight the mission and the vision here for phenotyping at Purdue. There's 3 pillars with excellent experiment execution, so we have to have consistent growth, consistent treatments, whether it be in the field or in the controlled environment space. Cross-disciplinary connections, like Karen mentioned, so not just within departments within the college, within the university as a whole, and also partnerships with external groups. The last bit, the continuous R&D, is that we never have a fully polished experiment that's going to be repeated over and over and over again. I came from industry, and this is kind of the way things go in some cases. The continuous R&D is really, we're always pushing the boundaries. So there are engineers on these projects that their whole area of scholarship are the tools that we as plant scientists use. So those are very productive collaborations, and always just kind of keeping things fresh is one of the goals of the initiative. So the first bit of infrastructure that I'm going to talk about is the renovation of growth space in Lilly and in Whistler. So in Lilly, we were planning a greenhouse improvement pilot that should be done by the end of this year. Is that right, Julie? The end of the year? So in Lilly, the facilities are aging. There are quite a bit of dirt floors still, old environmental controllers. And so what we've done here with the plant sciences are 3 pilot upgrades. So ranges 3, 5, and 6 within Lilly. They have concrete floors, so we're going to do a deep cleaning of those. Ron Steiner and his crew are going to be leading that. Replacing the environmental controls, so upgrading some really struggling older controllers with new Argus systems. 600-watt high-pressure sodium lighting, which is the industry standard for greenhouse lighting, especially for crops like corn that need a lot of light. So that's the greenhouse improvement, and I'll talk a little bit more about the phenotyping facility that's going to be going into Lilly as well, but that is not counted in this improvement pilot. The second bit is the say that 5 times fast, the Whistler Growth Facilities, which is all growth chambers and walk-in light rooms. It's a $1.2 million renovation and upgrade that's set to be done at the end of next year. There's already demolition started. If you've been in Whistler B014, the old cold room or climate chamber is gone now. We'll be replacing a number of older growth chambers, and so this is, I love Julie's slides when she has the hand drawing and the color coding. So a lot of this orange stuff will be things that will be, the move and the salvage or junk will be things that will be taken out of the room. These old cabinets here, this old cold room, and then these newer chambers here are in very good shape, so those are going to stay, and then we'll be replacing the old chambers here. Some of them that are in okay shape will be moved, and others will be set for junk. So we'll have new facilities. As Clint mentioned, there's never enough, especially with so many new hires coming and existing needs. So we're going to be continuously trying to find more growth space, better growth space for new and existing faculty. But at this point, we're just trying to keep up and do the best growth facilities that we can. So the first of the phenotyping systems that we have, we actually have our vendors here today just by total coincidence. But PhenoKey and Aris and Agronomics, this small sample manual imaging system is now in Jen Jin's lab in ABE. So if anybody wants to test this out, Mike Mickelbart, and I know I saw you get some of it. So Mike and I just talked yesterday about some of the science plans and how we're going to validate different types of algorithms like leaf counting, pixel area, biomass, all of those things we hope to have deployed in a production setting. But anybody that wants to be an early adopter, please do contact me, or even if you just have some questions and want to try to apply things early on. So this system can do, it's really designed for Arabidopsis, but it can do anything that's around that size, or at least in a flat plane. So if you have seedlings that you wanted to image that were in small pots, we could do that. We could do corn ears in there for color, or hopefully we can get some IP around kernel counting and estimation for that. We'll also have that capability once we get that up and running with Jason Adams here, our phenotypic facility manager out at Acre. He'll have one of these boxes as well, so that we can look at shelf grain or even, like I said, corn still on the ears. Let's see, what else did I miss? The time series capabilities, so we can take our images multiple times to be able to look at growth and development rates, which in my experience are often more informative than just taking a single point in time and looking at how big a plant is. It's really about the growth rates that you can really distinguish some genotypic differences or treatment differences. And then here's some details about the optics within the camera. It's a very high resolution black and white monochrome camera. But the way that it works, it becomes a hyperspectral imager when we strobe these different colors of light, and so the blue, green, yellow, amber, red, hyper red, and infrared, and then some clever filtering from the folks at Aris, we're able to get chlorophyll fluorescence, and so we can automatically segment the plant from the background just based on fluorescent tissue. Now that doesn't work for things that don't have chlorophyll, but we have other ways to be able to segment out things like grain and fruits. So the system that we're testing right now is a prototype. It's in like I said, it's in Dr. Jin's lab in ABE. Once he is satisfied that it's taking good quality data, we'll move it over into Hort. And that'll be primarily used, I think, by the folks in the greenhouse there, as well as the new hire, Christian and Molly from that's coming in on Hort. Like I mentioned, the Indiana Corn and Soybean Innovation Center, Julia will talk about that, and also eventually we hope to have one of these in the Lilly seed complex as well. The next step up then is to take that small plant manual imaging and automate. And so I'm all about, like I said before, uniformity, experimental quality, and automation is one way to really bump up the game on these types of experiments. If you can have your plants not really touched by the human hands, that they can be cared for automatically, but with good consideration from a person. I think we get much better uniformity in data quality. So this will also be in the Whistler basement. This will be in one of the walk-in growth chambers that we were planning down there. Actually, I believe that's purchased, and that'll be going in with just some carts until we get the automation funding secured. So again, this will be for small plants. You can do seedlings, you can do Rhododopsis. With the automated imaging, we'll be able to bring plants in from other spaces. So even though this will have the capacity of maybe 1,000 plants or so, that may not be enough if you're doing big mapping experiments or something like that. So you have the capability to bring your plants in from other growth chambers or even greenhouses into this facility. We'll have weight-based watering, and then another specification from Mike is to weigh the pots up to, or at least every 15 minutes for a subset of the experiment. So we won't be able to do the whole chamber that way, but we're still kind of working through the details of how many we'll be able to get on the scales. How many time remaining?
2 minutes.
Okay. So the big system then is the Controlled Environments Phenomics Facility. We've completed our design study for that with agronomics, Bill Bissell's here from agronomics, and also our architect and engineer, VSA. This facility, this is a concept drawing from Phenokey about what it looks like to move plants around on these automated conveyors. We probably won't have the robotics and the drones, but it is kind of a lofty cartoon. I think it's pretty cool. The plants will move through an automated imaging system, probably won't look just like that. The part I like the most about this is the ones and zeros flying over the top of the plant canopy, because really the toughest part of all of this is managing the data. We also have some projects that we're working on with AgIT and ITAP to help us to manage all this data and then the metadata that goes along with it. So again, this facility will have at least one, if not 2 large growth house walk-in chambers. And that will be for really precise environmental control. The facility also is accessible very easily via the hallway from any growth house or growth chamber in the Lilly complex. Also, if there's plants from Fort or from another building that need to be brought over, we can access the imaging equipment with any walk-on that you want to bring to the facility. So they don't have to be in the climate chambers. So let's see, the imaging, we're planning on again, high resolution digital imaging, either RGB or similar to the box that I mentioned that's in prototype in ADE. The hyperspectral cameras are going to be a workhorse here as well as fluorescence. We'll have dark adaptation for half an hour on that for any physiologist, and if you want to change that, now is the time to tell me. If any other suggestions as well. And then we're also looking at monitoring over the greenhouse canopy, so kind of a staring eye camera that could either be hyperspectral or digital, maybe even thermal. Okay, so I finished under time. The first time I've ever said that.
Okay, my name is Julie Hickman, and I'm the Plant Sciences Project Manager. I think I have the funnest job. Is that funnest number? No. Here at Plant Sciences Group. I love this team. Okay. First of all, I want to say thank you. We would not have the building that we have today without everyone that has helped. We had a great team with physical facilities as well as our architects, but actually this building is because of the researchers. We did a lot of work behind the scenes to find out how you work. You let me come into your areas and find out how you do your sorghum, how you do your corn. I couldn't even spell sorghum when I started this job. So this is wonderful. So now we watched how you worked, how you had to bend down or work in a facility that really didn't work for you. And then we worked with the architects that were really forgiving when we said, I don't like this, and then I chopped it all up, stuck it all back together the way that we really needed it. We worked with a lot of WebExing to figure out how we wanted it. So I pushed for a factory preview, even before the open house that we're going to have at the end of August. So the building is just going to be turned over to us on May 13th. So if you're expecting all the furniture and all of the scientific equipment to be here, it's not yet. But we are just on May 13th. This is their last day. And we're allowing you guys to come in because we want to thank you for all of your help for making sure that this building is the building that we wanted to build for you. So thanks. The new drive entrance is now open. This new entrance is fantastic. If you haven't driven it yet, the fences have just come down last week. But it's a lot safer to get in. The deceleration lane and acceleration lanes really make it a lot easier to get into the facility. This is Google Maps. We're now on Google. looks like. It's a really large facility, 25,500 square feet. It is the largest facility, and there is nothing like this in the world. So, just a little bit of history for you. When we're talking about working with the researchers, this is a sorghum barn, and then working out in, I think we were in January, doing a lot of the threshing, and it was freezing out there, and I really couldn't get a good picture because the lights were really bad out there, and the floor was cold. The new facility is night and day. It feels like a whole different century when you walk in here. The floors are now have radiant floor heating in it, so you won't have cold feet. We have 3 dust collectors, and I'll show you how those work. And then there's a trash conveyor, so you don't even have to haul away your trash anymore. You connect up to it with a free connect system. There's 10 station indoors and 3 station outdoors. Even when we went to Dow in Iowa to look at their facility, they only had 3 station indoors, and we also found they were on top of each other, and they were twice as close together. And I like to spread out, so we made sure that there's plenty of room. And the other thing about the building, which you also notice, is everything's on wheels. Karen kept saying flexibility, make sure there's flexible. So everything in the building is on wheels, so you can rearrange it. And just because we studied and studied and studied and figured out the way we wanted it, doesn't mean that's how you're going to need it next week. So we make sure that you can rearrange it how you need it to for the day. So when you come in the facility, you're going to, most of the time, if you're doing this, you're going to come into receiving with your black bin, which we're going to provide for you. We've got 50 we purchased already, but we're planning on purchasing another 50 more. And you can put it on a dolly, and then after it's on the dolly, you physically can wheel it anywhere you want in the building. So here's a black bin, and you can do your threshing and shelling indoors, or if you prefer to work outside, like there's a canopy, a porch in the back that you can work outside. There's also a big seed analysis room, which tables are coming soon, that you can work there, and there's going to be seed counters along the windows, so there's going to be plenty of room to work in there. We're also going to have our feed-mobile probably stationed in the large bay building. This is also going to be a lot of where our unmanned aerial systems are going to be. We have a COA now for 7 aircraft with Mike Glacier. We also have our new facilities manager. If you haven't met Jason, you probably won't recognize him because he doesn't have a hat on right now. But we love Jason. He's been a real good component. We probably all met him. And you keep asking him different questions. And what we'd like to do is work on Passport, which is a Purdue-based system for keeping track of where we've been and where we're going to go next. A lot of times I want to do training, but I don't know what's available. Or I would like to do training, or I know somebody that's an expert, but it's really not, there's no need taking training when the person that's teaching it isn't the best one teaching it. We want to have you be the experts, do the training. The best person to do how to assemble a box and fastest, quickest is definitely Curtis, if you haven't seen Curtis put a box together. And so the way to speed up, to get through all the mundane things, to get to doing the phenotyping that we need to do, we need to learn how to do that faster and quicker. And you guys are the experts. And so Jason's going to work with you to make really short mini videos, kind of like we do with our horticulture greenhouse. But we're going to put them on Passport so we can track who's got the education and who doesn't, and where, and that also you can be able to see what you need, what you could take to make yourself better. And then you'll have a great resume on Passport to be able to show different things. And you'll get electronic badges, kind of like in Scouts, so that you can see where you've been and where you can go. Okay. Important save the dates. If you want to see more about the facility, because they wouldn't let me have an hour today, I could do page after page of showing you great places to build. But instead, I'd rather you come out and see us on Friday. This is a faculty preview. This is our thanks to you. We would like you to be one of the first people to be able to see the building. And we're going to have breakout sessions, and we can go and take a look at each one of those rooms and see a little bit more about it. But we're really gearing up for our building dedication, which is on August 29th, and we should be fully working by then. But in the meantime, after the 13th, you're welcome to use the building, but we just won't have a whole lot of stuff for you yet. So we're buying all of the scientific equipment, all the tables, all the other equipment. And so if you have any questions about that, go ahead and you can see me. Next, we got Kay and Daryl up next. All right,
You guys are
Yeah.
So that means we have Do we really need this mic?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, you got it. Daryl, are you coming down? Are you going to stay up there?
Come on
What's
down.
your pleasure? My name is Kate Kinker, and this is
I'm Daryl.
Daryl Stark. And thank you, Karen, for this opportunity to present to this group. And we aim to tell you three things. One is about something called the Foundry. How many have heard of the Foundry? How many have not heard of the Foundry? Please be honest. Okay, thank you. And then we're going to tell you about ourselves, because we are part of that Foundry. And then we're going to talk about Ag Accelerator. So those are our three messages today. Okay? And you just jump in whenever you want.
Go for it.
First message, choose larger font. So first about the Foundry. The Foundry is really a place, a concept, a resource, and a process, all rolled into one. And it is a resource basically to help startups, that would be potentially you guys or your grad students or undergrad students, that are interested in taking some of the technology that comes out of Purdue Plant Sciences or Ag and commercializing that. So not necessarily a normal thought for a professor to go start a business, but for some, that is a real interest, and particularly also grad students and undergrad students. And it's a resource to help all of those faculty, students, alumni, affiliates, loosely defined, that are in the community of Purdue, and also community members. It's part of PRF, and it sits in Burton Morgan Center at Discovery Park, second floor. The goals of the Foundry are really threefold. It's to stimulate the regional economy. It is also to bring life-changing technologies to market, those things that you guys conceptualize and invent, making use of them in the real world. So that's one of the aims of the Foundry. And also strengthening Purdue's reputation, already strong reputation, as a source of commercialized innovations. We'll talk more about the resources, but Daryl and I are examples of two entrepreneurs in residence, and we'll introduce ourselves more fully in a minute. But the entrepreneur in residence, there are probably about 10 or 11 right now, most part-time, covering all walks of disciplines. I'm a mathematician, but I've been in Ag for 30 years, and Daryl also is Ag and a proven entrepreneur. The other resource that's particularly important is there's a workshop, a training venue to help entrepreneurs understand what are the roads and processes in order to bring technology to market. If you are like the researchers that I know from Purdue Sciences, where I worked for 30 years, most of the scientists think that the science is a really hard part. And that once you have the science proven, anybody should want to buy it and be able to sell it. That's not a really good assumption most of the time. So this incubator workshop called Launchbox really helps the scientists and the experts in the field to think through those other parts of how do you bring a technology to market. Okay? So that's basically what the Foundry is. Daryl, what do you think? Any additions on the Foundry? Okay. So as a process, as I said, Foundry is several different things. One, it's a startup process, and this gives you kind of a general time frame of what it takes to bring a new product to market, a new concept to market. This thing called Launchbox is about 4 weeks long, and it's a training that takes place over 4 weeks, but it's 3 hours, 1 day a week for 4 weeks. And it's run by people in the Foundry, and taking the entrepreneur through those thought processes and steps in order to consider, do I have a viable product? Would a customer really want to pay money for this? How big is the market? What is the competition? What's in the way? What do I need to do to test the product concept? Following that is something called Initiate Customer Discovery, where you actually have to go out and talk to prospective customers and say, what's your unmet need? You've got a great technology, but does it really meet a need that a customer or prospective customer has? So you can finish that in 8 to 10 weeks. The next one is the long one, because it's what you really have to put together then to say, here's my entire business plan, and going to seek funders that are interested in granting you money to bring this thing to market. And then finally, startup or execution. So that's the process in general, very simplistically stated. And Torbert, who's been heavily involved in the concept concept along this is a great resource for you to talk to about how does it work, how doesn't it work, what works well, and where can it be improved. Available resources for entrepreneurs. I talked about the incubator workshop, the EIRs. You have also access to resources in the OTC, whether that's legal resources, and obvious here, he can answer questions when we come to that part. Legal resources, grant writers, things like that are also available to you. Access, and I say access to potential funding, we'll get to in a second. And then the network of other entrepreneurs. One of the things I might make mention, there's a standing meeting every Friday morning, including through the summer. Shorts and t-shirts welcome. And it's called Foundry Grounds. And it's a very open, informal hour. Oh, there's Greg Deason, who kind of spearheaded the whole thing. Foundry Grounds is a chance for entrepreneurs, students, grad students, faculty, community to come, and other entrepreneurs in the community to come and network. So there's a mingling part, but there's also a formal presentation, usually introduced by Greg, of some aspect of entrepreneurialism. Maybe it's a startup, maybe it's an entrepreneur, a legal resource, what questions do you need to go through. So it's a very informative, kind of fun session, and Greg provides the coffee every week as well. Anything about foundry process?
I would just say that I would just say that most of the people that show up at Launchbox are nervous and scared. They have a product idea and they need help walking through that. So if you're interested in exploring this, come by the Foundry Grounds. We'll introduce you to the Launchbox process, and it's a way for you to discover whether business might be in your future. About Kay and myself, again, Kay's got a wealth of experience in Dow AgriScience. I think a lot of her, and as far as introductions throughout the industry and contacts, Kay is a great resource on that. I tease her that I'm more of a scrappy entrepreneur type. So straight out of college, I started a business and have lived and breathed that process of product development, customer discovery, early sales, hiring employees, going through legal, eventually sold a business as well. So the path, the journey is something that I appreciate and can see a lot of opportunity for people to grow in that area of their careers as well. Our contact information is up there. If you want to catch that, you're welcome to contact us. If you're not sure where Burton B. Morgan is in Discovery Park, we can help you there. If you show up, schedule a time with us, we're glad to sit down and answer questions that way. Final slide that I think we've got for today is to talk about the Accelerator Fund. So part of the Plant Science is interested in investing in commercialization of the technologies that come out of Purdue in startup companies. So OTC for years, PRF you're aware of, has licensed technology from Purdue out to industry. This is an opportunity for startup companies to speed the process along in terms of licensing, and with the accelerator also receive potential investment dollars. There's $2 million in this fund that's available for equity investments in these companies. It's up to $100,000 per company, and potential investment windows 3 times a year. So if you go through Launchbox and early customer discovery, you'll pitch to an investment committee that then will decide whether or not the company and the idea and the team are worth an investment in that company. The $100,000 often will allow you to do some early prototyping, maybe hire a person, or go toward STTR, SBIR, grant dollars that can accelerate the business as well, adding millions to the early equity stage of the business. So,
yeah, just one more piece. Sure. Just to give you an idea, and again, thanks to Karen for inviting us here, and to Bill for helping to try to get this group together in another forum so we could share some of these things with you. Right now, you may be curious, well, how many clients does the Foundry have? And what colleges do those clients come from? Well, right now, engineering takes the bulk of the pie circle. It's they have about 42% of the Foundry clients right now come from engineering. 9% are from College of Ag. Now, granted, some plant sciences related things could come from either of those and others as well, but that gives you an idea. If you look at the management, pharma, those range in the area of 7 to 9% of the clients coming into the foundry. We really hope that through Accelerator and funding, it incentivizes more people to come and learn about this and potentially consider taking their technologies to market. So that's the one. And I think with that, we're going to open it up to Q&A, however Karen wants to format this.
Thanks everyone for keeping things on time. And that, I think, is really important because now's the time for you to ask questions. Also, if Mitch, is there anything that you want to mention or add that you don't think was covered or do you want to say? Okay, we'll start with Q&A. So what kind of questions do you have? This was, I know, a quick overview. There's actually lots more behind this than what we showed you, but what questions do you have?
Yeah, how long does the funding run for this program and what happens in 5 years?
So, Trevor wants to know about the funding for the Ag Accelerator. How long
For the whole program.
Oh, for the whole program.
The whole program.
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah. So some of the positions in it are recurring. So April's position and Jason's position and one other one, which is a greenhouse position, are all recurring positions. The faculty members are recurring positions. All the rest requires that we will build it and they will come. In other words, it requires you to really be the entrepreneur in terms of your research and in terms of entrepreneurship to keep these things moving forward. So the idea is that we put the infrastructure in place, that you then use this for your research and continue to generate grants.
Okay, so then that leads into my comment that the foundry is really awesome. Science is easy. Starting a business is not easy, but they're there to help you. And so, and I learned how important networking is. As you know, I like networking, but it's so important. So I'm going to hand out the schedule for future networking events, but next January we have an event actually at the foundry, but I'd encourage you to go by.
The sad part is I think Greg just left, so he missed the plug. Other questions?
On the other networking event, besides the things that told there's something called Spirited Entrepreneur. I don't know if you've heard of this. Sorry. It occurs the first Tuesday of every other Tuesday, right? Because there's one a month on a Tuesday evening, which Daryl would be happy to share with you when it is. There's something called Spirited Entrepreneur, and it's an open session at 9 Irish Brothers. And you come have a beer or not if you want, and interface with other entrepreneurs, faculty, foundry people, etc. Very informal, safe environment to get to experience that type of climate for entrepreneurialism.
Other things?
So early on, you mentioned having a transformation facility. What happened to that?
That's a really good question. So Jody's asking about the transformation facility, which was the one thing in the original plans we didn't end up doing. And the reason we didn't is in talking to the researchers and going through it, they said, you can't afford it. That there are a number of facilities around, and when you looked at the different kinds of plans we needed to do, that it became really cost prohibitive. So there's other universities that have those facilities, and what we need to do is use them and support other universities doing that rather than us developing it, because we thought it was cost prohibitive when we actually looked at it. So that moved away. The part that where we put that money, so to speak, and keep in mind the way this works, I can't just take money anywhere and move it anywhere. It really stays in the buckets that it is. So where we invested that really is more in the controlled environment imaging. That was not a strong piece in the original proposal. We really had mainly the field phenotyping, but a number of researchers came forward and said, you know what? It's not just about the field. Really, for the basic biology, we need more in the controlled environment. And I think based on some of our new hires, they've been very, very interested in this area. And so that money was really repurposed to the controlled environment. Tony had a question next.
Yeah, thank you. Karen and Clint basically is who was directing this question too. So I'm pretty excited about the fact to some extent here. It hopefully is come through here. So basically, I'm really excited about the the success in hiring substantially 6 people in basic plant biology. But as and there's obviously a success factor there that wasn't realized in the previous search. But as I look towards the huge investment in the Plant Sciences Center, I'm still looking forward to the opportunity to perhaps rethink how we hire the remaining 2 faculty that because originally we came up with a plan of 8 possible positions. And so I'll just state, as I've stated to you individually, that I would really hope that there would be an opportunity to look at basic plant biology at the ecosystem level using the huge resource that the Phenotyping Center enables us to do. And so I would urge you again to complement what we're doing at the basic level in controlled environments, in the field laboratory environment, because I believe that our most fundamental weakness at the field phenotyping scale is faculty resources at that level. So thank you.
And thanks, Tony. I think it's a good point. And when we put this together, these positions were really about basic plant biology. And part of it was because we hire so many positions in the applied biology. So the other way to keep this going and to think about this too, as you make hires in your faculty units, to think also about the applied biology piece. So in the long run, I would say, and I didn't answer this in relation to Torbert, but I will answer it now. In 5 years from now, this program shouldn't actually have much of a role out of my office other than probably a piece of April's position, just because she's the director of a large facility, both the greenhouse and the field facility. It really belongs to the departments, and the importance of that, that's where the research is happening. So long term, as you're starting to look at your hires, also look within your department. What do you need for the future and how does it take advantage of this? In addition, I think it's important for everyone to start putting their ideas forward, so as we do this next round of hiring, we have as many ideas as possible from the group of what types of hires they want. So, Clint, do you want to add
Just
anything?
follow up. Are there still 2 positions left at the molecular agricultural initiative that we're still hoping to fill? And are those people perhaps already interviewed? And where are we at on that level?
So there's actually 4 positions left.
Okay.
I hope to start advertising earlier so we won't have to interview, well, I hope we won't have to interview as many people next year, and I hope it won't be 21 people in 2 months. That was insane. So we do have 4 positions. I think that we haven't completed discussions about come to consensus in any way on what that ad will look like, although I don't think it'll look very much different. I hope people did see that it was quite a broad ad. But I think that we have had discussions about looking to fill gaps. And I think that we know where those might be. I think that what you're talking about is one of them, although I sure hope you have a chance to speak with John Couture when he's here, because he's putting in, I have an email right now, and it's an eager on hyperspectral imaging that goes right from Arabidopsis to canopy level management. So we have hired 1 person in that area, and it's a real good proposal too. So I'm excited about that. So yeah, I think going forward we're going to be looking for those places where we need to fill in, and at the same time trying to balance that with hiring the best people.
Other questions, thoughts?
I
this is for the education piece. Is there, okay. Is there an intention to support education at the, let's say at the Field Phenotyping Center, we were to propose a workshop to bring in, graduate students from different institutions, or is it really just focused on like undergrads and, which is fine, I'm just getting clarification. I don't know about the graduate part.
Yeah, so you can
So-
answer one piece and then I'll
So in
answer
regards
the
to undergraduate, we are hoping to utilize the facilities for various tours and opportunities. We're actually utilizing it for a National Bank Convention coming up here in Indy. So we're really going to use it as a platform to help in the recruitment and outreach around. There is a student innovation hub as a part of the building that we're hoping to also incorporate in, but in regards to funding of graduates.
No, that's not what I was asking.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if there was.
It was education part, but I'll talk to that indirectly. So one of the very cool things from my perspective that we didn't talk about, so the new phenotyping building is called the Indiana Corn and Soy Innovation Center because of the funding from Indiana Soybean Alliance and Indiana Corn Marketing Council, and this comes with something very interesting. And what it is of this, $2 million went to the building and equipment. The other $2 million, one from corn and one from soy, went into an endowment. What that means is every year we'll have $50,000 for soybeans and $50,000 for corn directed at projects at the new phenotyping center. So we have innovation in perpetuity. People haven't used this model before, and we're going to be able to support our industry in perpetuity. Now, having said that, I think one of the things they would be really interested in is a proposal that talks about graduate education for a large group of students, because one of their real interests is the future of students. So I think that's a possibility. We didn't advertise well enough our first round of this grant. It was due May 5th, and we didn't get very many, so we're extending that date to June 6th. So there's still an opportunity to put in these grants for this. The idea is that this $50,000 allows, and it gets to another aspect of Tony's question, which is part of the reason that we don't have a lot of people trained in this field is because it's a new field. And so part of the $50,000 is seed funding so that you can start getting preliminary data so that you can apply for other funding in the future. And that really how corn and soy are looking at this is money for new innovation. And that's part of how we look at this. How do we innovate in the future? So it's another opportunity for our scientists to get where they need to move that field forward so that they can be on the cutting edge of what's moving forward. Okay, other questions? Damon.
Well, this is probably kind of prosaic, but a lot of these projects are going to produce a lot of seed, and I haven't heard anything about long-term storage of seed. I'm wondering, has anybody thought about that?
Yeah, we have thought about it, and we haven't made as much progress on that. That is something that's going to be important, and that we need to look at how to increase that storage capability. We had at one point some plans for doing that. We still have plans for doing it. I will be honest, I don't have money for doing it yet, but we need to, for sure, we need to increase seed storage capabilities. There's a little bit of refrigeration room in the new building, but it's not for storage. It's for while you're using the facility. That's something we have to address and is high on my list. There's all sorts of pieces still missing, and but that's probably one of the larger holes, to be honest.
So I agree with Damon, but I know that I have better storage facilities than you do, Damon. Yours aren't very good. What?
I've got a broom closet.
Yeah, well, the storage facilities at Purdue relative to where they were 10, 15 years ago are infinitely better, but when they're absolutely horrible at that point, and people at other institutions who kind of snicker at Purdue, there's still a long ways to go. And there are institutions where you can walk into a cold room and get seed that's 40 or 50 years old. And you can get seed that somebody spent a whole career on. And they weren't thinking about molecular things. And 10 or 20 years later with these new technologies. So I just want, poor Damon, this is unfair what you're dealing with. maybe this could be a concerted effort for some type of grant. Because we do all these cool things and we save it to somebody else to benefit.
Okay, other questions? Or, sorry, Mitch.
It's not shown on the map, Damon, but sort of right in the middle of the building is a square that's not labeled, and that's the temporary or short-term cold storage facility.
Yeah, but Mitch, that doesn't address real
I understand that.
challenge.
I'm just saying.
No.
This is great, this is good.
The nice point about this great opportunity, with every opportunity comes challenges, and so we've made a leap forward, and now we have to make the next leap forward. So we have to continue to innovate, continue to find ways to get that money to move the next piece forward.
Nobody knows this, but the phenomics tool development side there, that used to be the cold storage until they said we had to make tools.
Which now is going to be a computer room. And, Jack?
Karen, I know on the map there's a data command and control center, and I'm just curious as to what that's going to look like, how that will be used and purposed and staffed, because I guess there's going to be a lot of data, and how that facility will be deployed.
So this is something that's probably changing over time. The way we had envisioned that, so we have basically fiber optic to campus. So it can go right to high performance computing centers, etc. So it's got some high-end computers in there. And then it was supposed to go right to the wherever you wanted to send that data because of the fiber optic line. According to some of our data experts, we're generating too much data to do that and to rely on that. So over time, there probably will be some changes and we'll have a little bit more. We didn't want to have a big computer storage out there, but we're probably going to have to do something a little bit different over time. So right now, there's high-end computers in there so that, because you want to do some computational data before you send your stuff away to make sure you have the data you need. Send your stuff away meant, that was my technical term for letting the information go over the fiber optic line to campus, have to send your stuff away. So you want to do some processing so that you know you have the correct data before you start putting it in storage banks on campus or wherever you decide to send it on campus. But the bottom line is we probably need more storage, more capability at the facility than we had built into it. So there's a Pat just left. Otherwise, I would have asked Pat to respond to this because he can add more to it. That's where we are right now. Mitch, you want to add to that one too? Yeah.
So the computer engineering folks that we're working with were worried about pushing data. So we're thinking we're probably going to be generating this summer about 3 terabytes a day from the Phenomobile. And there's concern about if the fiber optic cable ever goes down, how much storage do we have to hold for a day or two or a week or two? How long can we hold data out there? And so I think we're installing 12 terabytes more of data storage space in that room, which is really amounts to 2 weeks of storage just for the Phenomobile. And we're looking at other.
And that's why we say we probably underestimated this. And when we put this in, we put everything in as high end as we could in terms of computational capability. They fought with us over some wires. I don't remember exactly what they were that they wanted at one speed, and we said, no, we want the best there is out there. But, this field moves so fast that we're not probably where we need to be. And even we didn't want a big storage unit out there and a lot of servers, is then you need somebody who's dedicated to that. And we don't have that kind of staffing out there. I will tell you the other part where we probably aren't as well staffed as we wanted was in staffing in general. So down the road for some of this equipment, Jason is the facility manager, and we can probably hire some students, but there may be a point where what we do is you as researchers who are using that pitch in to hire another staff person that's at the facility helping you. And so those are some of the things we need to look at in the long term. And that was just kind of a forewarning of some of the things I see down the line. We can't ask for any extra money. I can tell you that for any recurring positions. Okay.
I think there are probably lots of opportunities for cost recovery with the facility and the field space maker. I hope that's something that's being addressed as well, so that we can, I think it's probably straightforward to put line items in our grants for a lot of the facility use, and that could be cold storage or, per plot charges or, all manner of things.
Katie brings up a really good point, which is cost recovery, and there will be some need to do that on all these new facilities. That's how we continue to upgrade. And it's really, I'm going to use growth chambers as an example, where everybody had their own and used it until it died. It's not a great model, and it didn't happen with everything and everybody, but where we have a lot of the road chambers that don't work anymore and are just sitting there. And so we're looking at cost recovery models as part of the future. And the idea is then you can keep the equipment in condition that you can use it. We're not going to charge the bejesus out of you because then you can't afford it either. So there's that balance, and we know that, but we will do what we can to do that. Other questions or comments? David, did you have did you speak? Anybody else?
I have a question if there aren't any other. And it's more of one of curiosity. I'd like to ask you, if Darren and I would like to ask you a favor. There's 3 answers possibly to this question. One is totally interested and going to follow up. Not at all interested. And curious, but don't know. And the question is this. How many of you and or your grad students do you think would be interested in commercializing your innovations in technology? And there's no right answer. It's only a curiosity for us at the company. So, totally interested, going to follow up. Just a show of hands. Okay, couple. All right, and the other extreme, not at all interested. I'm paid to be a professor, and I'm happy doing that. Not at all interested. And it's okay. It's okay. All right, and somewhere in between, curious, might follow up. Got some questions. And a lot, is this why, I wonder if you guys should probably learn a lot of abstainers here. All right, but at least, yeah.
Graduate students of intellectual property can be kind of tricky, so I hope that you have a plan for keeping things clear on what Purdue owns and what grad students own, and they don't have this confusion.
Yeah, Avi, you want to chime in on this?
Hi, this is Abhijit. I work for Office of Technology Commercialization. Purdue policy is the graduate students, if they are funded through a grant or since they are paid to work at Purdue, that's Purdue's intellectual property and is assigned to PRS. So for the undergraduates, it's a different thing. For certain exceptions, they own the IP, but predominantly Purdue owns the IP. So they should not be.
So why would a grad student then become involved with entrepreneurship? I mean,
Yes, right. That's a great question. So this is almost the genesis of why the Foundry was created, was because the vision to take Purdue IP that just sits on the shelf and collects dust, to get it out into industry. With the Foundry, if you go through that launchbox process, you get Foundry certified, which then when you go to ABI and OTC, it's like a big checkbox to say, we should license to this company from PRF to this new startup, has no customers, hardly any track record, we should give IP to that Foundry. So it's a great.
I'm going to add one more piece to it, which is kind of like the new generation. The new generation, if they get really excited about their project, we've had a number of different people that go out and start these. It's a time in their life where they have many of them, not all, don't have commitments to others. They don't really want to go in the academic route. They're really passionate about what they discovered, and they want to move it forward. So I think it's an opportunity that we need to start making our graduate students more aware of. It's like everything else. It's not going to be all of them. It's going to be a subset who want to move in that direction. It's just another different career opportunity. And I'm going to point out Avi, for example. Avi has a PhD in plant biology and really wanted to move more into this commercialization space, in his case the OTC type space, and got a certificate, and now he's doing that. And it's great because he has a plant biology background, so that when you talk to him about your ideas, he knows what you're talking about. And now also, so other career opportunities, and there's like these kids starting completely new companies and new ideas that we never would have thought of, we never would have, maybe many of us wouldn't have been brave enough to do. So.
You comment about graduate students, that's no different than faculty. Purdue still owns the IP. But a graduate student can be an inventor if they've made an inventive contribution.
Yeah.
Like
He could be an inventor on the IP, but still it is Purdue's IP.
just like it is with the faculty member.
Yeah.
So they're an equal footing, correct?
And sometimes there's a place to move your technology forward.
Right.
We have an example in biochemistry. I think of a person who developed this cement sealer who's moving forward. There's lots of these different.
So 2 points. I think part of maybe what Katie said is, the grad student has so much to do just to complete their PhD. How do they get off onto these things? I think it's easier and more common in engineering and software and stuff like that. But yeah, we need to change the attitude in agriculture so it's not so hard. But I see this, but the word postdoc hasn't come up here. Some models, somebody maybe does a grad student and then they stick around for a year and they get into the entrepreneurial realm and because they've got all their prelims and all that sort of thing. So I think we need to be thinking about postdocs as well and making it easier.
I'm speaking in, but Katie, when you built that education grant, I think it actually would be a really nice piece to think about having a short talk while these graduate students are here from different institutions on commercialization. It's just one more career opportunity that some of them may be interested, especially in this new space where they can really be on the front end of some things. Avi, you want to add something?
I wasn't true. I was going to say that what Norbert just mentioned, that it doesn't have to be a graduate student to be a postdoc or a technician in the lab who might be interested in a career. And for the lab, what I've seen is from licensing perspective, there are many technologies that are not mature enough to be licensed by a company coming out of the PI Inventor's Lab. But if they go into a startup, there is more focus on development of the technology for market rather than for the basic research. That is another reason why a startup is sometimes a better option than licensing or why would it be pushed.
I'm sorry, I'm a little bit confused. So if I'm paying a postdoc or a grad student on a grant, then obviously they can't spend time that the public is giving them money for on a startup, right? How does that work?
Yeah, so I think the spirit of the Foundry and the entrepreneurial journey of Launchbox is to discover if it's a career path, so whether they should start the business or not. So it's once a week during a 6-week period, and they can kind of go through that to see if that's something that once they finish their graduate work, then they could do that full time.
Jim?
Yeah, Karen, the old model for genetics anyway was that we developed a trait or a variety or a hybrid, and ag alumni seed was our development arm, and the acre was where you did the genetics work, and ag alumni is where you did the development work. I need some direction, and maybe we need some direction on what's the new model and how that works.
That model is still there. So ag alumni seed is intimately involved in many of these conversations, and when it requires development of that seed, ag alumni is one route that faculty can go. They don't have to use ag alumni, but ag alumni seed, which ag alumni seed was started as a company to help commercialize some of the breeding and genetics of popcorn. So they run as a commercial company, but the profits from their company actually come back to support our investigators. So it's a really nice arrangement, and they have win and help us move forward on many of these opportunities. So that model hasn't really changed. It's just that much of it has changed. What has changed is actually the industry. This idea, we used to have a technology on the shelf for one gene, and you could potentially sell it to a company. None of them work that way anymore. First of all, they're much more risk averse, and second second of all, one gene by itself doesn't mean anything anymore with gene stacking and everything else. So they won't pay much for your piece. And they don't want these early stage technologies. If you have it in a Arabidopsis, it's not going to go anywhere. So you have to move it into these more commercial entities. Where Ag Alumni Seed has worked with Mitch and Torbert and a number of the people. So when you need things grown out, that is still the model. But no matter what your technology, it has to get to a more mature state before companies are interested these days. As I was talking, I'm like, man, I have two experts and I'm saying things that they may think are completely wrong.
No, I would agree. I mean, Ag Alumni has been very, very engaged with the Foundry. No, that's good.
Yeah, the only other thing to echo what Karen said on the interest of industry, the discovery engine of companies for traits and genetics is so expensive to do, so a model crop anymore, and April can talk to this of course too, isn't of the interest, and so you got to have it proven in a commercialized crop. So there's part one, and as also Karen said, it's just not one gene anymore, and it's not necessarily transgenic. It's non-transgenic genome editing that's of the forefront as well. So the game has changed. It's very expensive, and therefore that link is one of the things that I hope to bring in other EIRs are those links with industry. In April, you've got a great reach back into Pioneer DuPont. With myself, you've got a great reach into Dagger Sciences, and can try to help you connect. If you've got an idea that is potentially of interest in industry, help you connect with some of those right audiences.
And the other, Ag Alumni Seed plays a really critical role, and some of you are not that comfortable actually with some of the larger companies getting your technology right away. And through Ag Alumni Seed, they can grow it out and they can license it to many different ones. They can do a lot of things that some of you are more comfortable in that space. The one thing that doesn't work anymore, the other thing that doesn't work, is thinking that we as an institution can do something that will get your technology out. So if you have a good idea and you just get a patent on it, that in and of itself will bring it somewhere. In this day and age, it's changed from years before. They don't just mine these little technologies and pick them up. You have to get it farther along in that pipeline before companies are interested. It's just a change in the way the companies view it, and it really has to do with risk. They're much farther along the risk chain than they used to be. Other comments? Great. Thank you all for coming. This has been a really exciting time. I think it's a really exciting time for Purdue and Purdue Ag, and hopefully you got a little bit of that excitement of some of the things we can do in the future. Please don't hesitate to talk to anybody on the team or anybody else to try to help us move this forward. Because in the end, the success really depends on you and what you want to do. That's what it's about. It's not about any of us. It's about what we can do to move your research forward. So thanks a lot for coming.